Picture this. You're sitting down to finalize a massive, incredibly time-sensitive real estate closing. Everyone's ready, the paperwork is stacked up, and then you realize your notary commission actually expired yesterday. In an instant, the entire transaction grinds to a halt, and your professional reputation takes a major hit. Believe it or not, in Oregon, this nightmare scenario happens way more often than you might think. So let's dive right into this explainer and walk through exactly how to maintain your active notary status in the state of Oregon so that never, ever happens to you.
Now, you might be wondering, does my Oregon commission just automatically renew? This is literally the most common question current notaries ask as they get close to that 4-year mark. Honestly, it's a supernatural assumption. You figure, hey, I'm already in the system, so renewing is probably just a matter of paying a quick fee or checking a little box online, right?
Well, no. The startling truth here is that there is absolutely zero automatic renewal in Oregon. You can't just roll your old commission over into a new term. You are, for all intents and purposes, applying for a brand new, legally distinct commission entity right from the ground up.
To make sure we navigate this smoothly together, here is our agenda for today. 1. The Oregon Renewal Myth. 2. Eligibility and mandatory training. 3. Step-by-step application process. 4. Oath, approval, and timelines. 5. New supplies and insurance. And 6. Best practices and conclusion.
Section 1. The Oregon Renewal Myth. Okay, so the absolute crucial point to grasp here is that a renewal is, by strict legal definition, a complete reapplication. It's basically a fresh start. This means the state is going to issue you a brand new commission number and a totally new expiration date, and here is the real kicker. Because the Oregon Secretary of State does not send out any automated reminders or little courtesy notices in the mail, tracking that 4-year expiration date is 100% your responsibility.
Section 2. Eligibility and mandatory training.
So, even though you've been a working notary before, you still have to meet the exact same strict criteria as someone applying for the very first time. You've got to be 18 or older, be able to read and write English, and either live in Oregon or have a regular place of employment there. Most importantly, this includes a highly stringent 10-year look-back period. The state is going to run a background check to guarantee you haven't had any felonies, any convictions involving fraud or deceit, or any previous commission revocations in the last decade. Now pay close attention to this, because this is a massive recent change in Oregon law. It used to be that renewing notaries could just skip the basic education if they applied on time. Well, not anymore. Effective January 1, 2025, even the most seasoned notaries must retake the mandatory 4-hour notary basics training, and you have to complete this course within the 6 months prior to reapplying, so definitely plan your schedule around that.
Section 3. Step-by-step application process.
This breaks down the workflow perfectly for us. Step 1, as we just covered, is knocking out that basics course. Once you're done, you'll get an education training number. Step 2 is plugging that number into the state portal so you can take and pass the official open book exam. Step 3 is submitting the actual application. Now here's a massive pro tip. Use your exact legal name exactly as it appears on your ID. Seriously, no nicknames. This is the name you will legally have to sign on every single document going forward. By hitting submit, you're also authorizing that mandatory background check. And finally, step 4. At the very end of that online application, you'll need to drop a non-refundable application fee of exactly $40. You can just pay this right online with a credit card to keep the whole process moving along nicely.
Section 4. Oath, approval, and timelines.
Getting your timing right here is absolutely critical. Standard state processing generally takes about 4 to 6 weeks. To put that into perspective, it means you really need to submit your application right at that 30-day window before your current commission expires. If you wait, you risk a lapse where you legally cannot work. Once the state actually approves your background check and application, the countdown clock starts all over again. You have exactly 30 days to execute and return your oath of office.
So what's the deal with the oath? Well, once you're approved, the state will email your oath of office directly to you. Definitely keep a hawk eye on your spam folder for that one. You have to print it out and physically sign it in the presence of another active notary public. And guys, I really cannot stress this enough. Your signature literally has to match your ID exactly. Once it's notarized, you just send it back to the state via regular mail, or you can even fax it over with a credit card cover sheet.
Section 5. New supplies and insurance.
Okay, let's bust a really common myth right now. If you look online, some third-party vendors and training sites will explicitly tell you that you must buy a $10,000 surety bond. That is completely false. Oregon does not require a surety bond. However, investing in errors and omissions insurance, commonly called E&O, is highly, highly recommended. Think of it this way. If you make an innocent mistake that costs the client money, they can sue you personally. E&O insurance protects your own bank account, not just the public's.
Because you are getting a brand new commission, you are legally required to buy a completely new stamp. You'll take your certificate of authorization over to a vendor to have it made. It's got to feature your brand new commission number and your new expiration date. It also has to include the state seal on the left side, and all the text, like your exact commission name, needs to be perfectly legible and centered right next to that seal.
Now, here is a massive pitfall you need to avoid. Keeping your old stamp sitting around in a desk drawer somewhere. Legally speaking, you must physically destroy it the very moment your old term expires to prevent any chance of fraud. The state specifically recommends peeling off the rubber strip and literally cutting it to pieces with scissors. I know it might feel a little weird to destroy your own tool, but it is an absolute legal requirement.
Section 6, Best Practices and Conclusion.
All right, let's talk pro tips. First, do yourself a favor and set a calendar reminder on your phone right now for 3.5 years in the future, just so you don't miss your next expiration date. Second, remember that you have to report any address or name changes to the Secretary of State within 30 days. It's totally free to update your info online, so just do it. And finally, a great organizational tip. You actually don't need to buy a new notary journal if your old one still has empty pages. Feel free to keep using it. Just draw a clear, bold line across the page and write in exactly where your new commission number and expiration date begins.
We've covered a ton of ground in this explainer today, from those mandatory 2025 training updates all the way to physically destroying your old stamp. Careful planning really is the ultimate key to a stress-free notary career. So, what's your plan? How will you organize your practice to make sure your commission never lapses? Do you rely on digital calendars, old-school physical planners, or maybe just sticky notes all over your monitor? Let us know your strategies in the comments below.
And before we sign off, just a quick reminder. Always refer directly to the official Oregon Secretary of State website for the absolute latest forms, fee structures, and statutory regulations. As we saw with the new education updates, rules absolutely can and do change. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Stay organized, stay compliant out there, and I will catch you in the next one.